Hi, good morning. So I just got done reading a fabulous article in Variety that is about the DTC model, the direct-to-consumer model with regards to content. And it does kind of a comparison between Netflix, Amazon, Apple, and then kind of the old school studios such as Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Universal. The thing that is so interesting to me is that right now, Disney is talking about rolling it out their own direct-to-consumer model, and they truly are probably the studio that right now currently can give Netflix a good run if they roll it out, but they have to roll it out in a way that is not underwhelming, because you're asking people to subscribe, have a subscription service, but Disney does have all that fabulous intellectual property that people will want to view. But the thing that I want to talk about is really interesting. And so I was at an event last night that had a subsidiary of one of the studios. It's kind of a mini studio that's part of a studio, and they were talking about content and the movies that they're rolling out over the next year. And they're still using the old school theatrical model. And they were talking about at what point those films become profitable because of the P&A and all of that goes with it that a Netflix doesn't have to do. Now, the thing that I find so interesting is that AT&T just purchased Warner Brothers, right? And Disney is going to do their DTC model. So both of them, I would think, are looking to do direct-to-consumer models. So here's the thought. If you're going to do a DTC model, aren't you then now or in the future, and I really think at this point it may be the only way for studios to remain competitive, and they can't necessarily be licensing their content to Netflix because that goes against their own best interest. And I read an article where Ted Sarandos actually spoke about that in the article, about how they saw very quickly, as far back as 2010, that they were going to have to start generating their own content because studios were going to eventually stop licensing to them. And that's where we are right now. So if you're going to roll out your own DTC, then aren't you at this point marshaling every resource that you have to take all of the in-house producers or the producers that are on the lot, creating content that is going to be used for the DTC, the direct-to-consumer streaming methodology, and you're kind of pulling back and thinking, well, theatrical is going to be relegated to those big budget type films where people really want to go see those movies in a theater, or perhaps the family-friendly films that people want to take their kids for that theater experience. And I want to talk a little bit more about the content for children tomorrow, because that's kind of the golden handcuffs for a lot of streaming services. That's how they keep people from month to month, because it's people with kids who really need all that content continually. That's one of their biggest areas. But going back to what I was saying is that with AT&T now having Warner and talking to HBO and Warner Brothers about content, and then you have Disney with the DTC. It's really interesting. I'd like to know at this point, at what point are executives thinking to themselves, so now we're slicing it a little bit differently. We're putting this percentage of our resources that is going to go towards direct to consumer, and we're putting this percentage of our resources that we know are going to be a theatrical rollout. So it's just an interesting sort of thought that popped into my head after watching the executives yesterday talking specifically with regards to theatrical rollout, and not talking at all about DTC, which in my mind is kind of a misuse of resources, because you've got a sub brand within a studio that really hits it out of the park every single time. And in my mind, I was thinking, wow, if you guys were producing for DTC, there would be hit after hit after hit. And I wanted them to be saying, yes, we're also doing content for direct to consumer for our AT&T now. All right, thank you. I know that was a little bit all over, but these are just some thoughts that I had combining both the Variety article and the panel that I witnessed last night. All right, thanks. Have a great day. More later.